Hello. So it's between Christmas and the New Year, it's kind of a quiet period. I've got to start back to work tomorrow, unfortunately, but I thought I'd make a bit of a start on the rear door seals. You've seen we did the front door, the one side, rebuilt that, or most of it, trimmed it. I'm in the process of doing the same to the driver's side rear door, and one of the problems is that the seal has basically had it. So this is actually the seal off the door. You can see it's in pretty bad state. It's actually fallen apart. I think I've lost a bit, maybe. Anyway, so you can also see it's pretty oddly. It's not just kind of dried, actually, it's still very flexible. It's dried in places and cracked, and it's actually gone quite hard. It's almost, it's like it's degraded. But it's fairly flexible elsewhere, but it's just lost its springiness. It's kind of really odd. It's like, maybe it is kind of decomposing in some way. It's just very slow to return back to shape, and obviously it just needs replacing. It also looks like it's been melted in a couple of places. I can't see any evidence of welding on the door, but it looks like it's been melted. But so what you can see from this is there are different profiles as it goes around the door. The top of the door is on the coupe stainless steel, and that has I think it might be this sort of profile where this actually clips into the stainless steel. The stainless steel is bent over. This is lower on the door, and it's just a kind of U-shaped channel like that, and this is glued into that. It doesn't really hold it in. The sides of the kind of very shallow U are almost parallel, so you would think it would be more like that to hold the seal in, but it's not. So you have to glue that in. So there's at least 3 different profiles. So what you get, let's shift that. This is a seal kit I bought from Wadhams 2-3 years ago. And I don't know, I'm assuming it's the same still today. But if we look at what you get, so this is a coupe seal kit. What you actually get are different pieces of trim. So there's one. So actually, there's 4 different pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they've all got different profiles. And so, what you do is follow the instructions. So there's one. Yeah, there's three of those, and then there's this, which replaces this piece here. This is just foam. It's obviously too expensive for the volume involved to have this remanufactured. So this basically goes like that in the door to replace that. So not perfect, but it's going to be better than what's on there, and it's as good as you can get, given that these fairly low volume cars. So I did one for the front driver's door, and that seems to work pretty well. Did that a year or 2 ago, and so I'm going to make the one for the rear door. What you get from, as I say, this is what I got from Wadhams, so I assume it's still the same. Hopefully there's not too many reflections on that. You get these instructions, which look complicated, but actually they're not that complicated. You can see front door, rear door. Each of these is separate piece of trim. They're labelled C, D, A, E, B. That refers to the profile of the trim here. So you can see across the top you've got D, which is that shape, and that's what clips into the stainless steel trim on the coupe. The rear door is simpler by the look of it, so we've got A across the top and down the front of the window, then we go to F, and then we've got E going around there with this fillet, which is that there added on. This fillet did have, it was self-adhesive, it got a layer of adhesive on it. I've had it so long it kind of dried out, so I've pulled all that off, so I'm going to glue that in place. As I say, you have to glue this in anyway, so I don't think it's it's no more problem really gluing that on. So we can see we've got A around the top, which is similar but slightly different to the front. The front has D. Oh, it's got A at the front and C at the back. Okay, so yeah, it's simpler. This is just A all the way around the top, which is going to be that profile. I think that's A. So yeah, that's the bit that goes into the stainless steel. That's that bit. Then we've got E, I'm assuming that's E, mirror image of that. So that's going along the back and sides, the back and bottom. And then we have F, which is, yeah, that. And that's going along the front, the lower front. So, obviously you want this to fit pretty well. I'm not going to use the old seal for a template because it's just too far gone, and it's just not a good template. So I'm going to measure the dimensions on the door. Sorry, didn't mean to hit you with my hand. Right, so I've just been to the car and measured, doing the rear door. So I think part A, or the top part anyway, is 83 centimetres to the inside of the mitre, the 45-degree mitre. That is, the other part of A that goes into the stainless steel is 32 centimetres to the inside of the mitre, so I can just cut that at 45 and join. I haven't measured the others. This actually, although the door obviously is meeting at a slight angle, the actual trim is straight, so that's just a straight butt, because the trim kind of bends slightly and goes from the window to the door. Anyway, so that doesn't need mitring. That's a straight join, but obviously they're slightly different profiles, but that will be fine. The only bit I'm not totally sure about is this corner here. So this is actually a bend, it's not a hard join, but actually we do have two different profiles of trim, E and F. So we're going between that and that. So the channel bend, that is radiused, that this will sit in. So I think this just needs to be a zero straight butt. And I guess I'll do it halfway round the bend. I'll look at that in a bit more detail when we do it. Anyway, so the first bit is to cut A at 83 centimetres to the inside of the mitre. So I'm going to measure 83 centimetres on this. I've only got a 60 centimetre rule. If only I bought a metre rule. You don't want to stretch it, the trim. It will stretch quite a bit, but you don't want to do that because then it'll be too short. Likewise, you don't want to have excess because then it won't fit nicely in the channel. So try and measure this without stretching it. So $60 there, and then 23. Is there. So yeah, so that's right. So because I'm doing the opposite door to this that I've drawn, just to make things simple, it's going to sit in the door like that. So this is that corner. So this is the one I need to mitre. This end is straight butt of the two joints. So this is the one I need to cut at 45 degrees. So that's the back of the door, so that's sitting like that. So I want that mark. Let's just draw that. Okay, so I want that to be, sorry I keep headbutting the camera, to be there, and then I'm going to cut it that angle, 45 degrees, which should be right. Okay, you want a really sharp knife. This is a fairly new blade, and then the way I'm doing this is making sure it's flat in the mitre, and then very lightly starting to saw barely putting any pressure on it, just letting because what you don't want it to do is to deform too much as you're cutting it. Fingers crossed. Do that last bit. Come on. So then this is 32 centimeters, and it's a straight butt at this end, and again they've cut it, Wadhams have supplied it really cleanly cut, and so I need to mitre this 32 centimeters in the other direction, 32 centimeters to the inside of the mitre. So let's just try and mark that. Where's my pen gone? So that's 32. This time we're doing the mitre the other way because we want it to join like that. So if I line that up there, then in this case we're going to go the other direction. So I'm just going to do this. No, let's do it this way then. 32. Okay. Again, make sure it's sitting nice and square in the. Try not to block. So again, I'm barely putting any pressure on because I don't want it to deform as I'm cutting it, because it is very soft rubber. And then I always miss that bit. There we go. So I should just say, I don't know if you can see my my attire, but if I look like I've put on some pounds, well, I have over Christmas, but also I'm wearing a USB heated. You can just see the light there. A USB heated waistcoat, which is pretty good actually. I bought it on Amazon. It's actually about the second one I've had. The trouble is with the Miz, I think a lot of them are made for the Asian market, and so you have to go up at least 2 sizes. I bought the first one I bought was ridiculously small. So yeah, you just plug in a power bank, and there's 3 heat settings on the button. This one's got 5 pads. I think it's 2 at the front and 3 at the back, and it works really well because it is really cold. I think it's just after dinner now, and it's -2 already, so it's pretty chilly. So yeah, if I do look, especially, I need to get a bigger Gillette. Anyway, just so I've mentioned that they are good if you're working in a garage. Then these USB heated jackets or waistcoats, or you can get this one's just a very thin. Sorry about that. This is just a very thin kind of waistcoat thing, so you can wear it under other clothes. You can get them built into the actual kind of vest itself. Anyway. I am fairly warm, so that's good. Anyway, slight aside. So let's glue the first bit of this together. So I am going to use just the that's the high viscosity. So I'm just going to use the regular super glue. Hopefully, I'm not going to stick myself to this. So I'm going to cover all of the area. What you make sure you get glue onto all of the little parts of the moulding, and then hold them together for a bit, and then hopefully that will be the first corner done. So that is pretty. I think I've got the whole face of that covered. So now, the bit we don't want to mess up. Hopefully you can see pretty well. Okay, so what you want to do is try and get as much of this, although I've tried to cut it as flat as possible, it's impossible to do perfectly, so I'm just going to, without gluing myself to this, hopefully push it together so that the whole, as much of the faces are in contact as possible. So I'll just hold that for a short while. Let's try and get right to the corners. I realise this might not be the most exciting of videos watching glue dry, but at least it's super glue. Okay, getting there. Just hold it a bit longer. Super glue used to be, they used to say it's set in 3 seconds. I seem to remember adverts when I was a kid, when it kind of, I think it first came out in the 70s or whatever, and they seem to say it's gluing in 3 seconds. Yeah, there was Super Glue 3, wasn't there? It was called. I've never known it glue in 3 seconds, but it is really good. Super glue is very, very good at gluing rubber, and so for things like this, it's ideal. Okay. Oops, sorry. So it looks pretty good. It's not quite perfect, but it's pretty good. So if you can see that, I think it's pretty much set now. So that is the 90-degree corner at the top of the front top of the rear door, and there's a little bit of super glue over there, but otherwise, I mean, yeah, it's impossible to get it perfect, but how closely do you really look at door seals? It's pretty good. Okay, so I measured that as 71 to the. This is actually it's a quite fairly gentle radius. So I measured 71 to about midpoint of that radius, from there down and around to there, and this is seal F. So you can see the profile there. And actually, this is shorter than 71. This is about 65 as it's come from Wadhams. So I guess that answers the question. I'm just going to use all of that. It should get to basically the start of that radius, and then we've got this profile, which is E, which will go around the radius and up and join to there. So yeah, so I'm basically going to use all of this. I'm not going to trim it down. I see it's not a symmetrical profile, so on the driver's side, well, so this is the passenger side rear door. It's going to sit on the door like that. So the kind of, you know, it curves towards the front of the car. It must do, because if you do it that way round, the channel here is basically, it's distorting against the door. Doesn't make any sense. So it's the next join. It's not, you know, these ones are a bit imperfect because you're trying to join two different profiles, but that is about as good as I can get it. The back side of it is fairly flat, not perfect again, but once it's in the car, because this channel hooks into the stainless steel, which stops there, so it's all going to be a little bit distorted anyway. So there we've got two joins that look okay. They'll look fine when they're on the car. There you go. So that is, I think, as good as I'm going to get this join. The back face of them were you know, perfectly joined. but then if you look there, you know, you've got two different size seals trying to join them together, so there's going to be some distortion at the join. It doesn't look great, but this is, you know, whoever looks at the front lower corner of the door and checks the door seal, as long as it stays watertight, then I think that's about as good as I can get. And you know, if you're comparing it to what was there before, I think it's something around here, this position. Yeah, I mean, it's going to look better than what was there before anyway. So it is what it is. That's as good as I can get it. You know, it's an imperfect thing because you're trying to join different profiles together. It's this one, isn't it? So I think, you know, when it's glued into the door channel, you're not gonna. That's going to look fine. As I say, it's, you know, bottom front corner of the door. So that's as far as I can go. I've cleaned all the channel on the door, so this seal can be fitted into it. I'm not going to do that tonight, just because it's, I think, down to about -4 now. But I will do this next, and we can then glue it in. Well, it snaps in around the top, or pushes into the stainless steel channel. We can glue the rest of it in and then make the final join. So bit of progress. I'll see you in a minute.